New York Attorney General Letitia James has been indicted on federal criminal charges. Now, James is one of three people President Trump mentioned in a Truth Social post directing Attorney General Pam Bondi to prosecute them last month. The other two are former FBI Director James Comey and Senator Adam Schiff of California. Now, Comey was charged with making a false statement and obstruction of a congressional proceeding last month. Yesterday, he pleaded not guilty to those charges. Let's bring in CBS News legal contributor Jessica Levinson. Jessica, we've seen an indictment is one thing, a conviction is another. What do prosecutors have to prove in Letitia James's case?
So they have to prove that this wasn't an accident, essentially, that she purposefully made these false statements in order to try and get a favorable loan treatment. And specifically, what we're talking about here are allegations that she incorrectly listed a property that she purchased in Virginia as her primary residence, and that gave her a more favorable interest rate on a loan. I think we should note here that when career prosecutors looked at this case, they opted not to bring it forward. And this is part of the reason why President Trump did apparently relieve Eric Siebert, the former U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, either relieve him of his duties or ask him to resign. And he then appointed Lindsay Halligan, who is his former personal attorney, who does not have, we should just note, does not have experience as a federal prosecutor. She's now bringing this case. She was actually the one to bring it to the grand jury, which in and of itself is unusual. You usually don't have the U.S. attorney presenting the case to the grand jury.
Now, Jessica, President Trump, as we know, has been putting pressure on his attorney general to go after people he deems as his enemies, Letitia James being one of them. Tell us about this lawsuit that Letitia James filed against Trump.
So this was a lawsuit essentially based on fraud and financial crimes, and she did get a conviction. We should note here that when it came to the penalty, that a judge recently found that penalty, I think $500 million, was too high, but did not overturn the finding of liability itself. A little bit more specifics, essentially what the argument here that Letitia James made successfully and her office made successfully was that the president was changing the valuation of properties, inflating and deflating the valuation of properties in order to get things like favorable tax treatment and favorable insurance terms. And she did obtain let's not say conviction, she did obtain a favorable outcome on those cases.
So this indictment coincides with another indictment that we mentioned against former FBI Director James Comey. I know these are two different cases, very different cases, but given the timing and the circumstances, will the outcome of one case impact the other in this particular situation?
So the answer is that we should view each of these cases as separate. When we get into a court of law, then we cannot say, well, but look at what happened to Letitia James, or we instead have to look at the different facts, the different federal statutes at issue. Having said that, one case where I think we might see that there's some connection here is that I think in both cases, they may both bring arguments that there was selective and or vindictive prosecution. And then you could see the same statements that the president made with respect to James Comey also come into a motion that Letitia James might make in order to try and get both of those cases dismissed.
Jessica Levinson, thank you so much. Always great to see you.